Okay, guys, hey, what's up? This is DJ from the Culture War, and I got another video for you. I've seen this one, saw this article a little while ago, just didn't get a chance to record it, so doing it now. Basically, tell you my thoughts on this and how I feel about gun control in general. So, this is an opinion article from the Washington Post from a lady named Sharon Risher. Unfortunately, she was someone who lost her mother and I believe some other family members in the Charleston shooting at the church that happened 2015, I believe that was. So this is an individual that seems to be extremely invested in disarming the public and disarming people in general. And it sucks that, you know, this is someone that obviously went through a tragic experience, a tragic moment in time, and they are using that tragedy to not look at the wider aspects of what gun control is, what it does, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm someone that a little bit of gun control is fine in terms of, how can I explain this? Because I'm very much I'm for as minimal restriction and regulation as possible. I understand background checks, things of that nature. A lot of anti-gunners and people that don't like guns don't apparently know that you have to get a background check. You know, when I bought my first firearm, I just came from the range not too long ago, funny enough. But when, I bought my first firearm, it took me 5 days or so to end up getting 5 business days. No, it wasn't business days. It was just 5 days, I believe, in order for the background to go through. So let's get into exactly what she's saying. So I'm going to read parts of it. Basically, photographs. She's talking about the insurrection. Wasn't really insurrection, more like a riot, but they want to call this an insurrection because it feeds into the narrative. And I have another video where I'm going to put out, already recorded it, where they're using that as justification to bring the terrorism policies that the U.S. used overseas and the tactics they used here. You have MSNBC calling for individuals that are labeled as quote unquote domestic terrorists to be bombed and to be exterminated. Now, this individual should know that those tactics were not successful and ended up causing more insurgency over in these areas. But I mean, that was the point. The point was to destabilize the region and cause more problems to justify the reason of the U.S. occupation of these territories. But that's either here or there. I'm getting ahead of myself in terms of more so I'm getting off track. I digress. So talk about this person here has a Confederate flag in this picture that was walking around in the Capitol, and she's saying that this triggered her basically, and this is a story of the Trump presidency and so on. So she talks about they took her back to her tragedy, and she talks about Dylann Roof and things of that nature, how he was able to get a firearm. He was able to get it. He bought it privately, and because the background check took too long, he actually wasn't supposed to be cleared to have the firearm, but the background check took too long. So basically, in that area, if the background check takes longer, I think, than 3 days, then you're able to sell it to that person. They are able to take it while pending the background check. And closing that loophole, because she links about that. That's perfectly fine to me. I don't, getting the background check. If you're going to make someone go through the background check, you might as well have them wait until the background check is completed. There's no point in selling it to the person. But again, this was a private sale and so on and so forth. So she's saying that this is a connection. This is a constant theme that you see between white supremacy. As she says, this deadly connection between white supremacy and guns runs through the country's history. She talks about the Confederate loyalists that stored in the Louisiana Capitol, things of that nature, Emmett Till, so on and so forth. Now, I think it's hilarious when these individuals bring up history and gun control and things of that nature, because you look at the Democratic Party, they were the party of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. They also were the ones that proposed gun laws and gun rights to be taken away from black free individuals and black slaves. You look at the Nat Turner rebellion in the U.S. that happened in 1831. Nat Turner, he went on a rebellion of slaves, and after that rebellion was quashed, the Virginia government, I believe it was Virginia, then made it illegal for slaves to get any sort of firearms, free men get any sort of firearms, and so on and so forth. So, again, gun laws have historically been used to take, and not just in the US, but around the world, gun laws and weapon laws have been used to take the means of defending oneself away from the individual. So the government has totality on violence against its populace, other people, so on and so forth. If you have a problem with said government, and the government is being a totalitarian dictatorship, say for instance you live in China, you had the means to, and they take away your means to defend yourselves adequately, you will not be able to effectively push back against a tyrannical government. Same if it's a foreign government that invades, like for instance the US, you are not able to adequately defend yourself as a regular citizen in the US. You would have to rely on the US military, and hopefully at that point the US military is able to push back and defend against that government. So I'm going in circles. Basically, this individual is just saying, she is saying that the connection between guns and white supremacy is there. It's extremely prevalent, and that needs to be curtailed by disarming the populace, because there's no way that you're going to be able to disarm these individuals solely, the races that she's talking about. Actually, and to be quite honest, I don't think she's just talking about the races that are actual racists or white, in this particular case, white people that are racist. I think she's just using this as a way to get the gun registration and the gun laws that she wants on the books, without understanding guns, without understanding armament, without understanding the wider point of a well-armed populace is able to defend themselves, rely less on the government, be able to defend themselves against a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic, be able to be self-sufficient, that means hunting, things of that nature, or defend themselves in a situation of interpersonal individual violence between members of the populace and other members of the populace. For instance, if someone says or someone tries to rob you, you're able to defend yourself. If someone tries, in the case of a woman or a man, if someone tries to assault you physically or sexually, you are able to defend yourself adequately in that circumstance, and then so on and so forth in various other circumstances. Say that you are a cattle, you are a farmer, and you farm various forms of cattle. Wild boars and wild hogs, wild animals may threaten your cattle, your livestock, so on and so forth. If you're able to defend not only yourself, but your property, in that case would be your cattle and your livestock. So you see this constantly with the left, mainly the far left, not the regular left, but the far left and the progressive left, who want to tell people how they should be able to defend themselves, how they should be able to feel, and they use subversive tactics such as equating gun ownership with white people, and then from there, white supremacists, when they declare all white people and things of that nature white supremacists and racists and things of that nature that hate minorities and things like that. But they don't talk about where gun violence mainly affects the Black community is in the inner city where individuals aren't able to get guns easily, if not at all. They aren't able to defend themselves against the gangbangers or the individuals that just want to commit crimes such as either strong arm robbery or home break-ins, violent assaults, physical and sexual, regular and sexual. Like, they don't talk about what having a firearm means for the individual. Or the same way I could say you learning, for instance, I've done martial arts and I haven't been able to, unfortunately, my martial arts dojo, my dojo got closed down during the pandemic. Unfortunate, I need to get back into it. Haven't been trying to do other things, so my time has been kind of filled with other things that I wanted to get done anyway. So I'm gonna get back into that anyway. The same way somebody does that to learn how to defend themselves is the same way that they might buy a firearm to defend themselves. Just another tool in the bag to be able to use to be able to defend yourself adequately and the people you love. And it shouldn't be viewed as, and like I said, this is so subversive and this is so underhanded to try and get in more gun legislation and things like that, to equate it with white supremacy or to equate it with bigotry or hatred. It's just a tactic that's always used by these individuals. No matter if I talk about how the Black Panthers wanted other Black people to be armed, and many instances of the early Black Panthers before they were co-opted by the FBI, they talked about Black people being self-sufficient. They talked about Black people owning firearms because the cops, the state, they're not going to protect you. So you're going to have to protect yourself against them and other individuals in your neighborhood that might be wanting to do bad. That self-sufficiency we're talking about. But these individuals don't care about that. They don't want that. And they don't see how, again, most of the guns and the gun crimes affect certain areas in certain neighborhoods, and they haven't actually tried to solve those things. They talk about mass murders and mass shootings, but they don't talk about where the bulk of gun deaths and gun violence happen. And it's interesting as she's a Black woman, Black reverend, as a Black man myself, I should be able, if what you're saying is that this government is racist, sexist, in terms of particularly how it would affect me, racist, and wants to find any way to harm me, wouldn't it be smart for me to own a tool to defend myself as best as I can against these forces? I mean, we taught for the last 4 years, they said that the government was becoming more fascist. Wouldn't you want the populace to be able to defend themselves? Say it that fascism took control, which apparently it didn't because they voted out the fascism, but you know, these people, they flip-flop, they're hypocrites, they don't fully understand the things that they're advocating for, or they fully know what they're advocating for, but they're using subversive tactics to be able to get these policies in place and have more and more reliant on the government, on said government that they think is racist and doesn't like them, which is interesting. But I'm going to beat this horse to death. Basically, this individual here, she has her own agendas personally, politically. She has her own particular agendas. And unfortunately, this individual seems to be still going through the loss of their family members and is using that as well as the subversive tactic of equating whatever happened on January 6th, I think is a riot, to hateful bigotry that has guns, and we need to curtail the ability for the populace to have guns in order to stop this. But again, there's other means and methods. You can easily create other weaponry. This is just going to this is just going to kick the can down the road, basically. It's not actually going to help anything. But and it definitely doesn't help, again, the inner city and the people affected. You know, majority of gun deaths are from handguns, not assault weapons, quote unquote, or AR-15s or any of those high caliber semi-automatic rifles. They're not. Most gun deaths happen with handguns. Most crime is committed with handguns because they're easily concealable. And unfortunately, most of the gun deaths in America are from suicides, unfortunately. But anyway, again, I'm gonna keep rambling about this because there's a lot I feel about it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Again, my name is DJ from the Culture War. I appreciate anybody who is listening to me right now, and if you have any sort of criticism, positive or negative, so I can improve the way I'm doing this or improve the channel, please let me know. Please comment. And yeah, have a great day. See you guys next time.